Greetings, world. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of The Vault with Master Key. And today, we have a very beautiful, very powerful guest. Her name is Miss Giltrecia Head Guzman. And she is Greetings, world. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of The Vault with Master Key. I am Master Key. I am hosting, and I'm here with the beautiful Miss Giltrecia Head Guzman. She is a historian, a performer, and an entrepreneur. And today she's here to talk about all of the ventures she's into, but more importantly, her business, which is UCTs. UCTs is I will call it a holistic, and please correct me where I'm wrong, a holistic tea blend that are customized. That's what I would say. And they are customized tea blends, based on whatever your ailment or thing is that you're working to fix. And it definitely improves health. It definitely improves wellness, and if you're taking the right things, it might improve your mental function. Miss Guzman, Miss Head Guzman is a University of Miami Ph.D. candidate, and she explores British West African studies abroad, and she helps actually shape them and shape the Pan African independence movement. With over 20 years in the performing arts, she preserves African and African diaspora traditions through dance. Beyond academia, she's the founder of UCTs, this herbal tea company that we're about to learn about today. And she launched in 2020 to promote holistic wellness through culturally inspired blends, whether in the archives or on the stage or in business. She's bringing history to life. Y'all give it up for Miss.
Thank you for having me.
Now, I just want to start with, guys, I'm actually a consumer of her teas, a customer now, but a consumer of her teas. She's been very consistent with this thing for a long time. So I want to go ahead and get right into it. Miss Giltrecia, talk to the people today about you and your purpose.
Okay. Well, basically, my purpose when it comes to the business of teas and creating holistic or contributing to the world of holistic health is just to be a part of everyone's wellness. Those who are looking to become better and have a better version of themselves and use herbal practices as a component to this journey. I'm here to contribute in that perspective. Um, for me, this was my segue into my journey into wellness. And through that journey, I became, I guess, knowledgeable about my own family roots, having the connection of being herbalist. So I'm actually technically a third generation herbalist because I had a great great grandmother who definitely, great great grandmother and a great grandmother who were both into using herbal practices to heal, to keep the family well, keep the immunities up. My grandmother then did it, and this is on my paternal side. So I remember my father not ever really being sick until he was like way older. He was probably in his mid 50s by the time he experienced any like flus or things to that sort, which was uncommon for him. And that's how, so and that was based upon what they took growing up. So didn't really get firsthand work knowledge, but I will say that there was inherited through me the idea and the interest of it. And there was an innate gift to be able to recognize the healing properties of different herbs. And so that's what made me just go further into doing more of the scientific knowledge of it, gaining that information, and then putting it into practice and providing more herbal blends for people in this area of holistic health. So I do want to just point out, Key, that like for me, when it comes to this, it's not
Mm-hmm.
always, it's not about medicinal herbs per se.
Mm-hmm.
As in there's some who are very gifted in that area of extracting medicinal properties and creating the medicines. I do more of the practice of the herbal work. So I do recognize the benefits of herbs. And then I use that to create the blends that I do create. And those herbs can contribute to the wellness of others, the healing efforts of others. But I have to make sure that I take the responsibility of saying that this is not medicinal based practices. Right.
Okay. Yes, ma'am. Thank you for that clarity. I know that that's extremely important. To
Yeah.
be able to run and regulate a business and to keep your business. And we can't. We. It's just certain terminology. So I definitely appreciate you clarifying that always. Now, I just want to know. I know you spoke on your roots, and I know you spoke on not directly inheriting the blends and everything from your ancestors now.
Mhm.
But I just want to know how did you know what you do was needed? Like somewhere in between, like I could and I should, there is a charge, right? Tell
Right.
me about like that moment for you when you understood like I can no longer a it would be a detriment instead of a benefit to me if I do not do this. I want to talk about that first, and then I want to talk about how did you go through the process and the obedience of going, because a lot of times when we start businesses, people don't know how small you start. And I
Mhm.
think it's important that those stories are told so that you know what I mean, just for inspiration purposes and
Mhm.
because stories matter. So just tell me about that part for you.
Okay. So yeah, for me, it started way before time. Like, well, not before time. It was like I was in my mid 20s. I
Hmm.
realized that I was needing to take care of myself because my cholesterol levels were rising, and
Hmm.
I was in my early 20s. But of course, we are in love. Me being a Southern woman, I'm in love with my food. I love my food, and I remember I was like really getting into some steak and eggs. I was on a whole steak and egg diet, and I was tearing it up. And I said, when I went to the doctor and she was like, your cholesterol levels are extremely high. And I was a
Hmm.
dancer. I danced. I mean, I put in at least anywhere from 25 to 35 hours a week in
Mm.
dancing. So, I thought it was okay that through my exercise, I was burning it off. But I started hearing stories about dancers who were dying from heart attacks. So they were eating how they wanted to eat, but they still had the consequences, even though they had a fit body, of the
Mm.
heart giving out because of certain foods that we eat. So that was kind of like my first step. And when I took that first step, I love drinking tea since I was young. So I said, let me go in and let me figure out how to, let me see what I can do to help improve myself. And one of the things I did was I took more spices and I was making more concoctions with those. The other thing was that I was dating someone who's a vegetarian and they love spicy food. And the capsaicin that is within a lot of the peppers is good for the heart. And so probably I'll say within a month's time of changing my diet completely, I brought my
Mhm.
levels back down. I had to take 30 days to go back to the doctor. I went back to the doctor and she was amazed at what I did to get my levels back down. So that was like um that was that was what piqued my interest the first time. And then I would say like the next step or mouse or other point in my life was when I was pregnant. And so I I went through two pregnancies that ended in late term miscarriages. Very traumatic and tough time for me. But within those times, I was really getting into the herbal care. I was taking herbs that were definitely providing the benefits for the births that I had. And I think it contributed to me being able to carry the children that I carried for so long, because I didn't pass till right at 8 months. Still traumatic because of the complications that happened. It's a whole nother story that I've been able to share with others, especially within different communities like the doula communities and the birthing mother communities. So, so yeah, so that journey and working with midwives helped me to get more into learning more about the herbs, what the properties were, how they take care of the body, strengths and weaknesses, and I just got right into it. And even after my birth, I continued, working with different herbs and finding more about them. Um, as I would say, let me see. So I would say probably within 2 years after my pregnancy, I had to, I began to be more in contact with nature, going out for walks. I'm from Tallahassee, Florida. So I'm living in a space where the greenways and nature are full of herbs. There's plants everywhere. And so I found myself coming in contact with different herbs and something that will always draw me to them. And I would look them up, study them, and then I would like, oh, okay, this is something I could use. I began to recognize that within the yards of my relatives, especially older people, I was seeing ginger everywhere, but people would have it just to, design the front of the house, right? We have aloe in our yards, right? In Tallahassee, for instance, or in the North Florida, South Georgia area, it abounds, it grows everywhere because it likes that shade, it likes the moist soil. And anywhere where there's like leaves and shade and moisture, the aloe abounds, and it has medicinal properties for the digestive system, the immune system. It does so much. Um, and my grandmother, my great grandmothers, they all made aloe water. So that was something I was able to benefit from um, when it came to learning about different medicinal properties of plants and herbs. So I continued into that. By COVID, it became apparent that I needed to make this about not just me, but to see how I could help others. Um, COVID came and I encountered many people being impacted by COVID. Um, in fact, my husband, before we got married, he got COVID and they didn't know it was COVID. And it was a scary time because they were testing him and he wasn't getting better. His blood pressure was dropping, and we were trying to figure out what to do. So he you know going through that, and then I caught it and I could feel my body fighting it. And I remember the tea that I remember making tea. I remember I was like, okay, well, I'm going to get my moringa in. I'm going to get my bee pollen in. I'm going to get everything in that helps beat the body. I remember taking the bee pollen because I knew that lowered the histamines from reacting. And I remember that my body made a tremendous difference. It was just like I could breathe. As long as I took the bee pollen, I could breathe. My nasal passages came down from being swollen. The moringa broke the fever. I didn't even have the fever that tried to come, didn't even last long. It probably lasted maybe for a good 2 hours from the moment I knew I had it. And mind you all, I was driving back from Miami to Tallahassee, which took me a
Mhm.
whole lot longer because COVID was very serious. But by the time I started taking my teas and making what I needed, the next day I was pretty much back to normal. And I can tell you now, the last time I don't remember the last time I caught a flu from
Mhm.
just taking my own teas and blends. Um, I maintain pretty much a good, healthy body when it comes to that. When it comes to viruses and those things. So basically, I decided to make teas because I knew others needed a way to become better, and more people were coming to me because this tea is not something these blends I didn't keep to myself. I
Right.
would, if I was doing a production and I had my dance company and dancers and actors, those who were part, I always had tea for them because I knew somebody was either sick, someone had something going on, and they needed something. That it was always something telling me, hey, you need to make sure that you got a blend for your cast. And I will always have something for them, And there was always, one or two people who really needed it and benefited from it. So I said, okay, let me just see how I can make this a reality. And COVID came and it was that time. And I went ahead, I made it. I got the website going. I started just really putting in the seeds that I planted, and
Mhm.
I was ready for it to germinate. And that's pretty much how it took off. It just went into just a passion and need to make sure that I could share what I was able to do with others and provide it for others who may not have time to do what I do. You know.
Yes. If can you hear me? I just want to do a sound check. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Can you?
Yes.
Are you able to see me?
Yes.
All right, perfect. All right, so guys, this is where I want to tell you guys I am actually a again consumer of her teas. This is just a small bit that we have left. I have a two, well, she's three now. I have a 3-year-old daughter named Justice. Justice just started some daycare about 4 or 5 months ago, and it's been a lot. Being her shots, her going into those different environments totally affects her, just overall. And so my great friend here at UCT sent me a box. And in this box was a bunch of teas and a syrup blend that she made. Two of them actually. Two syrup blends that actually help my daughter Justice not only cure her swollen adenoids or help bring them down, but she had swollen tonsils as well. They were very inflamed. The doctors were asking, "Hey, can we go ahead and take out her tonsils?" And I'm like, "No, just give me a second to try to, see what can be done." And again, this is not a medically sound thing, but it definitely helped alleviate some of these issues in a very great and unbelievable way. So I just want to endorse the blends and also talk about the serves, because I don't know if you mentioned the serves, but those things are very powerful. Sometimes I'll take a shot or two. So I just want to say thank you for your obedience to follow your spirit, your ancestral, you know, just background to just serve the people today, for
Mhm.
something that we probably can't find up the street or in our local neighborhoods and communities now. With that being said, um, just tell the people. Well, maybe some people can see it, some people may not be able to. Just let's talk about how they can find you.
Okay, so anyone looking for me, if you are wanting to know more about what I do, you are more than welcome to visit the website www.ucts.com. And then I'm also on TikTok at UCTs and Instagram UC1Ts. I do have a Facebook website,
Hmm.
Facebook page is linked to the Instagram. So I would say you go on Instagram first, then you could see me on there. Um, you can always order online. I do consultations where I provide at least a 15 to 20 minute discussion with you about what you may be needing based on your situation or your needs at that time. And you can always order a consultation first by just going online and filling out the contact page that I do have, and then from there we talk about payment and things of that sort. Once I respond back to your inquiry. So yeah, these are the ways to reach out to me. Um, I'm doing a couple of pop-up market days in Miami, and I will be promoting those on both of those pages. So if you want to follow me, you can always stay on top of that. If you're in the South Florida area, I also do retreats. So booking, if you want to book me for providing tea bars for any retreats or events that you have, just let me know. Give me ample time, and I make myself available for that.
All right, guys, I do want to cut in here because she is a PhD candidate. Let's go ahead and give some claps to that. She
And
does.
thank you, Lord.
That's of this journey. It's been beautiful to watch. So just keep that in mind. I will say though, when I spoke to her about again the issues that my daughter was having, not with just the swollen adenoids, but with flu symptoms, she sent that box in less than I want to say 3 days. I am in the Tampa Bay area. She's in Miami. So
Mhm.
don't think that because you don't live where she lives right now that you cannot get your healing. I'm sorry. You
I will I will
get
do my best. Let me say this. I do my best to try to get deliveries out as soon as possible. And if I'm not able to get it to you within the time that I have said it, I usually provide discounts on the shipping. And I do that because for me, it's about making sure I stand by my word.
okay.
So I tend to make sure I keep communication open whenever I'm sending any items, any deliveries, for wherever you are and located. Just know that the further you are, the longer it may take. That's not on me. And we know that the aviation system is a little funny right now. So we gonna all have to be a little patient about our deliveries. But yeah, when it comes to that, I do try to make sure. And if you are in the South Florida area, I tend to also see about making in-person deliveries if need be. So, it's just all about accommodation, making sure you have what you need and giving you the best customer service experience possible with this business. So yeah. So yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, I definitely appreciate it, and I'm sure the people appreciate it as well. You got some pretty good comments and reviews so far. Now I guess before we close out, any last thoughts, any last ideas, anything that you would like the people to know, or help you with, on your journey right now?
I always I think we always in this time of so many changes we have going on here. We have some really interesting transitions happening um, within the climate of this country. So I'm always just making sure that we make the time out to be come together, be more considerate of each other. Check on your loved ones, check on your friends. Um, if you're in a community that people are needing some type of encouragement, and you have the ability to be the one to see how you can bring people together. Um, Part of the initiatives I've been taking down here is about that, and there'll be a couple of um, some of that is coming up. I don't have anything hard line that's coming up, but I will say that there have been talks about providing more social gatherings that provide and encourage people to really just kind of figure out what's going on and just have more support to say, you're not alone. and that everything, that as long as we can move together, we can make something good out of what we do, right? So, just finding the time to really push forward the idea of that, even though it's looking crazy, there's still opportunities for us to make things happen. And that's one thing I want to make sure that people kind of keep on their minds and spirit, when it comes to that. Part of my research is about just showing the examples of how people were like that. People came into a country like the United States or Great Britain, and they came during a time where there was a lot of upheaval happening. There was a lot of racialized discrimination happening in both of those countries. And as Africans living in these societies, there was a lot to navigate. And throughout all of that, there was a sense of collectivism happening, and not just within themselves, but also among others of the African diaspora. And they were able to take back those experiences and move towards an independent country of their countries in West Africa. Let me be more specific. And eventually this kind of spread out throughout the African continent, right? So that for me is a demonstration that we can also follow in terms of our own guidance and our own ways of really trying to envision the way that we want to see America, or the way that we want to see even just our communities being renewed and being sustained to a better outcome. Mm-hmm.
Now, if you would like to have that type of mental clarity, go ahead and visit that website online, www.ucts.com. As you see, the T really works. You hear me? So,
and I also have Black History teas. When you go on my website, check them out.
Tell us about them.
Oh, the Black History teas. So the Black History teas, I was inspired just to create tea blends based on some of our legends. I do plan to change them up soon because they've been out. I've been selling this blend almost for about 3 years now. Mm-hmm. And they've been really good, really good feedback. A lot of people love them. And so I do a sampler collection. I also do a collection if, there's one that you like in particular. The sampler ones, though, I like to sell because you get a taste of everything, and people love them. People have bought them for their job offices, like the lounge areas. Mm-hmm. They have bought them for parties and events, and it's been the top of Black History Month every month. And even after Black History Month, I have people buy them throughout the year because they make really great gifts. I also have sampler collections of my other teas that I like to bring together. And I have various collections like Love and Romance, which is for the Valentines, but even after. I also have like a Love Yourself collection, and I also provide tea baths. And the tea baths come with like the Love and Romance, my spring and fall, my seasonal collections, as well as the ones that I have for my older people, my older friends. That's called the Silver Collection. That collection is all about wellness of older people, whether it's women going through menopause, or you're dealing with the next phase of life where the body begins to change. These teas are designed to help support your wellness, support the ways that you are needing sleep, or your skin health, or even your hair, body, or just feeling great in terms of emotions. So just check out the website. They're all there. And if it's not there, I can make it for you. I have a piece for that. So
amen.
Yeah.
Oh God, I think this has been a beautiful show. I know that it
has. Yes, thank you. Thank you, Master Key, for bringing me on. Always. Thank you for having an opportunity to talk and share with your community, and have me back if you can.
I will follow up with an update in a couple, when you're ready for it, okay? But guys, I promise this stuff is but this stuff is real. It's really real, okay? I don't know the last time I had to go to the ER. I'm knock on wood. I haven't had any symptoms, but I definitely keep her tea in my collection. I have to. So, guys, I hope that you would do the same when the time comes for you. Go ahead and be proactive about your health and wellness, holistically, of course, because it's not medicine, but it's a good remedy for whatever you need. I am Master Key. This has been another episode of The Walk with Miss Giltrecia Head Guzman. We know her as Tricia. Miss Tricia. All right, we want to send her with good wishes on her finishing up on this PhD campaign.
Thank y'all. I need it. I
Y'all,
need
y'all
it.
support the movement this day and every day going forward. Peace to y'all.